This is regular meeting of Tatum ISD. It is now 5:30 p.m. October 10th, 2022. We have a quorum. Will be led by pledge by prayer by Mr. Crawford.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us here today. Let us make decisions for our district, our admin, our students. Lead us and guide us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. I'll be the one. This is Warren. All right. Need a motion to approve the consent item that presented to minutes of the regular board meeting dated September 12th, 2022.
I make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Amy,
I'll second that.
second by Mr. Smith. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries.
All right, first item we got is District Goal 2. I'm going to tackle that one, and Mr. Pike's going to handle District Goal 3. District Goal 2 deals with our academics. Y'all have all seen this, but just to kind of recap a little bit, and I'll go into a little more detail here in a minute. But when we compare 21 to 22, we had a 32% increase in approaches, which means that's student pass rate. 41% in meets. They're performing and will be successful at the next grade level. And then we had a 30% increase when it comes to masters, which basically means they're going to need no intervention whatsoever, our students. You can kind of compare the two columns from the previous year, and you can see this is 19 to 21, because you'll remember we did not have a STAR test in 20. And so you see all the red, and then this is what's changed. As we know, the area where you see 3 reds across, that's a concern. We've kind of talked about these subjects also. Mainly this one down here. So, so this isn't really anything new. I think you've seen how we compare to the region in the state. Anything that's green means, in this particular subject, Algebra 1, means we were above the region and state. Then you get into biology. If it's yellow, we were 1 below. So Tatum was a 21. We were higher than Region 7 in our masters, but we were lower across the state there. English 1, across the board. English 2, we were lower than the state and the region in the master's level. U.S. history, same thing. This is more points. You get more bang for your buck when you get meets and masters. This is great because the kid's passing, but they're probably just passing. They're going to need some more assistance. 3rd grade, same thing. We were tied with all the schools in Region 7 in the reading. We're above in the math. 4th grade, just passing. We were above both meets. We were below the state by 1, and also in meets by 2 at the state. Masters was 21, and you can see we were well below there. In our 4th grade reading here, we were 1 below there, being the state in masters there. 5th grade, across the board, we were well above, as you can see, 29 there in science, 46 in reading. So in all areas there, 15 areas, we were well above in region and in state. Sixth grade, again, just passing in math, in reading, we're well above the state and the region. Same thing in meets. Get over here to masters, we're 2 points below in the region and in state. 14%, we were 1 point below the state in masters. Over here, when we're getting seventh grade reading, we were 1 point above the state, but 1 point below the region. And then the same thing with meets and masters, we were below it everywhere in those categories. 3.3% there, 7 and 5 there. Then when it came to math in seventh grade, we were above or met. Eighth grade, when you look at this column, again, this is still passing. We were above the state and the region with our scores. Also, when it comes to reading, we were above in meets and in math, the region and the state. Then we get into masters, we were 1 point shy of the state average. Math here in eighth grade, well above the region in math. Then we get down here to science, as you can tell, did real well here when you're comparing the state and the region, but we didn't do as well here. So we basically had a lot pass, but we didn't make enough growth. And so that's the reason you're seeing this. Social studies, we've talked about that, pretty low there. And that's across the board. So the next thing I want to show you is when you're looking at student achievement, the state's going to take these categories right here: star performance, CCMR, your graduation rate, and they're going to give you a score. When it's school progress, they're going to take the better of the two, either academic growth or relative performance, and that's what they're going to utilize, hence the 88. So in student achievement, we got an 89, school progress 88, closing the gaps 88. So just to kind of, if you ever wonder, well, how close were we to getting an A, then this is where you can kind of dive in. This is a site. And when we're looking at our areas that kept us, is closing the gaps. We had an 85 score. 2 or more races. Now we're only talking 30 students tops. That 54% is what we scored. The target was 56%. And in math, it was 54% was the target. We're at 46%. Again, growth, they're going to take the better of these two. So across the state, the growth was not good at all with districts. So they went with the academic achievement over the growth status. Graduation rate, 5 out of 5. Because you see there's 5 categories that you're going to be checked on. This is the other area that we did not do well in, is our ESL, or emergent bilingual students, our TELPAS. I believe high school was 10%. Mr. Spite and I looked it up earlier. We had some 20%. And so this is a big, crucial need for our district right now. Our Hispanic population has grown. And we are seeing more tutorials at the high school with our ESL teacher. Our Spanish teacher is leading that. But in all honesty, I don't think we did enough for our ESL students last year. And that's what hurt us here, because we got 0 points, it's only 10%. But you'll recall, we got an 85. Basically, we got a 90, 100, 100, and we got a 0. So that's 50%. This 90% is 50%. In 2019, the last time we had accountability, it was 17 out of 19. And we were at 89%. The accountability has gone up. It did never slow down with COVID. And so I just wanted you to kind of see, because everybody else, how did we get an 89? Well, this is basically it right here. It's 2 or more races and our tail pass scores. We needed those points, because if we would have got 10 points, 10%, we would have had a 95 right there. That would have bumped us over. This site right here allows you to kind of dwell down into trying to find out what the issues might be. It'll highlight the problem areas. What's interesting, and I think I deleted it, was comparing 19 to 22. And as you know, we got a 90 then. But everything was still real close. So you think about a district that has gone from basically 2 years of decrease in scores, but you're still being compared off of the 2019 data. It's pretty good. Not, we still got a lot of room to improve, but when you look at our data, especially when you just look at the big picture, let's see if I can pull it up. Just back to it. When you look at all this red compared to here, and you see the increases, but it wasn't enough to increase. We've got to get our masters up and our meets up. That's where we need to be, get that up. We've got different personnel in different positions, but ultimately, I think the accountability this year will be worse. I look for scores. I look for these scores right here to be worse. And the reason why is it's a whole new test coming out. Everything is online. A lot of our kids have been taking tests online, but the way the questions worded now, it's, and I've heard things like, hey, we're not going to have scores, but nothing from Austin's come out that way. I think some people think they are in the know and saying they're not going to be counted for. We do know the passing standards are going to change. These passing standards were pre-COVID. They did not change the passing standards. So it's like we never had COVID. And once again, another caveat to this is you do have to show growth. Well, the way they measure that growth is they're going to look at your 2019. Well, if you did pretty good in 2019, then you better make sure you do good in 2022. So when you see districts sometimes that might have gone up, well, they might have been lower in 2019. And so when their scores came in, they showed a lot, those kids showed a lot of growth. Well, that to me, that's not apples to apples and all that, because you're going to penalize some districts that did well in 2019 that had growth, but again, you didn't adjust the passing standard down any. You just kept raising that thing up. So it's a ball game. You all know it's a ball game. But I do want to warn you, I am concerned about the new test and how that's going to look. You know, I met with Travis Clardy today in Nacogdoches this morning. And, you know, one of the things I mentioned to him is to graduate high school, you deal with CCMR, Career College Military Ready. That's all they preach. But nobody asks you when you go to college what you made on your STAR test. Nobody asks you when you go to the military, well, what did you make on your STAR test? Nobody asks you if you're going to work down at Little Eagles. He doesn't go, well, what's, you know, your EOC score? Don't ask that. So why do we put so much emphasis on this? The other thing I wanted to get across to him too was the federal government only requires us to have reading, math, and science. Science 3 times a kid's in school. Not social studies, not history, not algebra 1. I mean, you pick your math. Not English 2. In high school, 1 time, 9 through 12, you need to have a reading test, a math test, and a science test. You could do it all your freshman year, be done. You could do 3, 4 reading, math, and then 5th do reading, math, science. But as you know, we've got some grade levels down there that are taking 4 tests. I mean, you got science, social studies, you got math, I mean, it's just crazy. And we don't have to do that to qualify for title money, federal money. So my question today was why? Why do we do all that? Well, I mean, what? And I gave the example. Everybody in this room took a test in high school. I don't know what I made on it, but we all turned out just fine. You know, we didn't have to take 21 tests to graduate high school.
Amen.
There's no sense in that.
I agree
Yeah.
totally.
Did he have an answer?
No, he's just doing a lot of nodding and all that, which that's what I figured we'd get. But, you know, I just feel like, give me an answer. Why? I think with 4545 coming out, as y'all know, that's where we've had to do 30 minutes of intense tutoring with all kids that did not pass. Well, you think about a kid that didn't pass 4 classes. I think you're going to see dropouts go up.
Yeah, you will.
So, you know, I will say this about our teachers. I really feel like there's not a day that they're looking at this and going, you know, I'm just here for a check. I don't really care if my kids pass. I really think we genuinely have teachers in the classroom that wants what's best for their kids. When we make rounds, I mean, there's nobody with the feet propped up watching movies. I mean, when you go into a 5th grade math class, they're getting it. So, I mean, but what worries me is we've got this new test. And what is that going to look like for our kiddos? And, but we've been practicing this for about a year now, doing everything online. I've talked to the kids. They like testing. They like to do things online. I don't. I know y'all don't, but we'll see how it turns out. Any questions on the accountability process? All right, Mr. Fike, you up next.
Okay, moving to District Goal 3, there's 2 components of it. And the first component is 3.2, as far as developing leadership, discipline, and respect, and desire to contribute from our kids. And if you look in these areas here, there's some areas here, that's for student leadership. As far as the different tabs at the bottom, student leadership, we have athletic, middle school band, and extracurricular and athletics at high school. But looking at the leadership, as you can see, with any type of groupings, especially after COVID, there's a drop in groups and trying to come together. So there is a drop in after-school groups coming together, but we're trying to get that back up and continue to increase. So there was a drop, and part of making that standard, you have to either stay the same or go up. So in that particular year, there were 8, now it's down to 7, so they didn't get to make it. No different from here, it stayed the same. You want it either to go up. In these areas, of course, all this is student groups and participation. And that creates a problem because once again, prior to COVID, we had things rocking and rolling, things are going on, but then the grouping and coming together, groups kind of dismantled, and there was a drop. No different from those that attend church, used to be a lot of people, now they got used to staying at home, and now they don't want to come. No different from here when you talk about groups. So the remedy here is to try to continue to encourage them to get back to, as we say, normal, of creating those groups. So those groups, leadership groups and participation will go back up where we want it, and everyone will be happy, and the kids are involved, and when they're involved, it keeps them out of trouble, and things of that nature. In going to middle school athletics, we've talked about this in the past. There are, the good thing about it, I think Coach Keelan will do a great job as far as encouraging all aspects of the program to grow. As you can see, there were quite a few groups that didn't really meet that quota, as far as, and most of that was really on the girls' side. And then down on the boys' side, you can look at the success down there from basketball, male and female. So once again, I think having the right person in place hopefully can change that aspect and keeping kids involved, and not only keep them involved, but keep them competitive. And that is definitely we talked about when Dr. Richardson and I sat and talked with Coach Keegan, an area of concern to make sure that we move forward in getting that participation up and having kids work and being successful. Band, once again, number-wise here, you want to increase, of course, we went down. Less kids, that was a big thing. You're talking about COVID, blowing and being involved in those things. And there was a drop in that. And definitely, we don't want that to drop. We want to continue to, I will say Miss Sandy's having going, she does work very hard with kids, and they respect them and have fun. I think eventually the numbers will get back where we want them to be, but as of now, everybody has this pre-COVID idea, or I shouldn't say, COVID syndrome, kind of suffering from that we got to get out of, and hopefully we'll move forward pretty quick. As far as the number of kids, you can just look in this area here. THS Solo Ensemble. The year after COVID, we didn't make it, but now we had one last year, now 18. She's working very hard, and definitely working in the right direction, and putting in the time, and I think they got a good group, even her assistants, and there's a good camaraderie there between the three. And once again, I think most important, the kids are excited and they want to be in there. One of the things you're talking about, twirlers, which she has an does an excellent job in working with the twirlers, but we want to definitely continue to get more kids involved to get further out at the lower levels. As you can see, TMS regional qualifiers, no, and none at the high school for the ensemble. So making sure we continue to work and increase that. Looking at the THS academics, one of the things is competing with a full team. And I know a few years back, this was an emphasis because we were going to war with not a full platoon and not being able to recruit our best kids. When you got GT kids in high school or that are high achievers and they're not even been asked to participate in UI academics, I think that's a shortcoming on us. We need to make sure those guys get out and participate. I can speak for mine, none of them were asked even in high school to participate in academics. And I think there's a group of kids that's walking the hallways that can contribute in some shape, form, fashion. But 32 kids, out of a total of a full team is 80. And when you got 32, that's not going to war with a full platoon. I mean, if you get in order, that's why a lot of teams beat, because by sheer numbers, they got more and get more points. So definitely increasing and trying to get that number up while we're being able to be competitive is definitely an area we want to work on. And then even here, last year, there was issues from a higher, I guess, from a director standpoint. And from that, the numbers went down, kids were quitting. I think we'll work on, I'm not sure what that number is currently right now, but a lot of kids did participate and some ended up dropping out. But I think right now, with the young lady that we have out there, I think we are on the right track as far as excitement and everything, and the kids wanting to be there. Kind of, it was more of a parent and director conflict and things of that nature, but I think it's worked out now, so we should be able to move in the right direction. And then on the high school athletics, as you can see, the area of concern here in the last part here would be soccer. Basketball, of course, won't have two teams, and it's just typically when the girls get in high school. They choose dance and softball. They got a little more to choose from, so a lot of them don't play that third team in the basketball. But soccer, from up here at the top, as far as meeting that standard with the number of teams, and also you scroll down, as far as the competition level, you can see here on the boys and soccer, male and female, not meeting that standard. So working on those and getting the right people in place, and once again, hiring Coach Keeling to move forward, and definitely an encouragement and some excitement. I think we can turn that around and get that in the right direction. Any questions?
All right. Thanks, sir. You're up still, Shaq.
This report, of course, is an annual report that is shared. Ms. Cooper does a great job of overseeing this per se, running those meetings. And in this past year, we did a lot of Zoom because we wanted to get more people involved that couldn't attend, but allow people from Rusk County, even from the state, to be able to participate and come in and get their buy-in and input on it. Of course, last year, we know we took advantage of the COVID testing, and we did house a testing center that tested positives for staff and students in that testing. And we know that during that time, Ms. Brown, she was the one that we had hired as a COVID nurse and running that program. And that was, of course, a rapid test format. Also, last year, in the sixth grade, they utilized, again, Glencoe Teen Health Program. And that particular teacher was Coach Brian Malone last year. And it's more of an engaging curriculum that Glencoe came out to kind of help with health programs and things that they thought were more on topic with young teens now. And that was a big thing. Drug testing, of course, we tested. The number of kids that we tested, I think, was 800 and something last year, off the top of my head, I think. And in that, one of the things that they talk about in the shack is that we know we want to continue to test and give baseline to all those students and continue to use the drug dog for those sweeps. And that shack recommended that the district continue to use those particular programs in an effort to keep kids off drugs and be a deterrent. Also, with the middle school, they're partnering with Longview Wellness for different services, and they created 10-week lessons for grades 6, 7, and 8 as far as identify things that kids who might need different services. And that was more for more of an alcohol and drug awareness, and also personal health decisions on far as eating, hygiene, those type of things. And at that age, some of those things are very critical that they need to learn because they get a little more active, and they're a little more involved in knowing how to take care of themselves. Number one, stay away from drugs and alcohol, but also personal health decisions and hygiene. And then two, with our food service last year, which is a part of our SHAC overall health, our food services, we took advantage of the COVID funding and was able to offer, of course, all our kids free lunch at no cost. And of course, that's gone away now, but it definitely was a benefit for a lot of kids. And then currently we have the CATCH program, which is the title of our PE curriculum. And in that, we've been having it, but last year during the spring, they kind of reevaluated and was looking at what else is out there. And it was decided that we keep the same, just learn more and get more up-to-date training on what's the latest things with CATCH now. And then, of course, last year, these were the members that were approved. And then we will get these members, the new members coming up in November for this upcoming year for SHAC. So these were the members that were on there last year that played a part in the SHAC committee. Any questions?
Next item is our local police department has been, I guess, can we say approved?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Next thing we needed were board policies. But we had to get approved and then we had to add these policies. And so the first one you're looking at right now is basically talks about what all is going to be required of the police department. There's going to be some manuals, what they cannot do. Down here, regulations manual, you'll see that hopefully he's been working on, but if not, we'll get that rolling as well. He is in training right now. He's out. He's not, well, he's in training to be the police chief. You cannot just be called the police chief. You have to go through some training. And so by the end of the week, hopefully we can make that change. It'll probably have to be board approved in the November board meeting, but he would not be able to officially until he's done this particular training he is at currently.
So when you said that we're approved, that's not the board approved, but the people have,
State came
the
in.
state is, that's what I was, because I took it when I was reading this, it was just our approval, but we were officially.
No, y'all approved it.
Yeah, back in July. or
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And so the state came in, I don't know, well, it was the day we had early release.
Right.
And they came in about 2:00, I think,
Mhm.
and kind of toured over there. I kind of hung out here waiting to see if I needed to go over there. Fight was over there with them. I think she looked everywhere she could look. Gave suggestions, which valid, like
Yeah.
maybe smoke out the windows because of confidentiality purposes in that
yeah.
office over there. We were waiting on her to go back to Austin to type up her notes so we could get the number that would be our call number, so to speak. Anything else to that, Mr. Fott, I need to add?
Door change on one of the doors, as far as the entrance on it, because the lock's on the opposite side, it needs to be on the other side. And coming from that area, from the back, from the kitchen coming into that office, you have tile, and you can go in and you could probably maybe build it up. It's not a requirement, but to get inside that office, you could get a ladder, go through the roof and come to pop the tile and go over. A lot of people build something up so you can't go over. So that was another suggestion.
So basically, this is our local policy. where he is, again, we're gonna have to develop some regulations. We'll have to decide on high-speed pursuits. He'll have a racial profiling report he's gonna be required to do. State requires it. He has a lot of reports on his own that the state requires, as well as the district would require too. The next item would be leave. He is required, the state states that he does get some mental health leave in case there is an incident to where he does need that leave, which is understandable, of course. And that's up to, I believe, 5 days for that. Yeah, super. Yeah. And then, the other thing was, COVID. Part of update 117 that y'all have already approved, school-based law enforcement officers can still get COVID leave. We don't do that for employees now, but he would get paid COVID leave if a medical professional states that he needs that. Can't be a home test, and everything. So this was just the next step. We had to get approved first, then we could add board policy. And that does take action, the required action.
Questions? Okay. I need a motion to approve the changes to board policy CKE local, safety program, risk management, security personnel, and board policy DEC local, compensation and benefits, leaves and absences as presented.
Make a motion as stated.
Motion by Mr. Crawford, second by Mr. Smith. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion passed.
I don't have anything. Crazy. So, unless y'all need to talk about that.
Somebody appraisals.
Motion for that.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the 2022 through 23 superintendent appraisal instrument as presented. A motion by Mr. Smith,
A second.
second by Ms. Amy. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion carries.
That's it.
Meeting adjourned.